everyone and Katribu. I'm Dina Ventura.
And I'm Francine Marquez.
And welcome to Pairfect.
Hello, Dina.
Hi, Francine. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So, where have you been?
To the office
and back.
That's the length of my travels.
We're getting the hang of bubble living. Ano?
Oo nga. But, I kind of miss traveling talaga. Especially going to the beach.
Yeah. And over the weekend nga, I was starting to have those FOMO feels. Kasi everybody was doing hashtag Boracay.
Oo, tayo na lang yata. Hindi pa papadpad doon.
Hanggang mga, lang tayo, streaming, travel shows, ganyan, ano?
Yeah.
But I guess we really have to go out there and
I think this is the year.
Yes, it's the year to bring back hashtag more fun in the
Philippines,
no?
right?
Yeah. So, which brings us to our guest today. Somebody who's a special guest. She's the lady boss behind a baby in the aviation industry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, in fact, they just had their first trip last December 24
Christmas.
to Palawan. Kaya nga what a gift, to be there, to just soak up the sun.
Exciting. Gandang kwento siguro to.
Yeah. So, without further ado, let's have our guest for today, Miss Ryna Brito, CEO of Sunlight Air. Hello.
Hi, Ryna. Welcome to Pairfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
She's so young.
Oo nga and so charming. Thanks we're enjoying already you bringing the sunlight into our studio right now.
I'm going to bring warmth into your studio.
Yes, that sounds good.
Sige. So, travel is on everybody's mind right now kasi a lot of destinations have already opened. No?
Yes.
From islands, Palawan, Boracay, Zambales. Lahat na people are just waiting to have those tan lines happening in their bodies.
Oo, no?
Kaya nga, and showing off their bods, no? Pandemic bod.
Pandemic buds.
Yeah, so, yeah, so, kasi we want to find out how was 2021 for Sunlight Air? How did you kickstart the year?
For Sunlight Air, as an airline, as a business, I think we were able to kickstart it very well. Last January 2, on our third travel bubble, we had around 41 passengers on board. That's a lot for the aviation industry right now. So, in terms of kicking start the airline business for this year, I think it's been good. We've been getting also a lot of inquiries kasi I think maraming tao na yun nga, like you said, they really want to get out of their houses na, gusto nila magpatan. And I guess the idea of it being a new year, parang, hi, so kas, like new year na, siguro makaka-travel tayo ulit. I feel like a lot of people have that in them na gusto na nilang lumabas from home but they want to do it safely.
Yes,
true.
Yeah, so I think because Sunlight Air nga, which we will discuss more later on, you'll find why parang we're able to entice people to travel with us.
Yes, that's very interesting. So,
meron ba kayong do you have a hashtag or a
Yes.
tagline?
That's why I said, I will bring warmth to your studio kanina. Because our hashtag is bringing skies.
Yes,
bringing
nice.
warmth to the skies.
Oo, tama.
Yes.
Galing. No?
After all that social distancing, no? You want to feel some warm vibe talaga.
Yes. Happy thoughts.
Yes. Happy places. Happy memories.
So, Ryna, a lot of people are curious about the fact that an airline company opened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how Sunlight Air started? Can you take us back to the time that you were talking about earlier, setting up an airline company in a pandemic?
To be fair naman, hindi naman kami sobrang brave. We also started the airline company, the idea of it, 2019 pa kasi. We were thinking of catering the business in Busuanga, which is the resort in the beginning. That was the whole idea. And then, noong 2019 of March, we said, okay, we're going to finally open an airline and we're going to apply for the necessary application so that we can launch an airline in the Philippines. At first, the main intention was yun nga lang to cater to our resort in Busuanga. However, as we were brainstorming more about what kind of airline we wanted to be, about who we wanted to serve, parang nagkaroon kami ng deeper purpose. So, number one, that is to serve yung mga underserved destinations of the Philippines. For example, Camiguin, Siquijor, which is through Dumaguete. We want to go to these destinations that can help the tourism industry in the Philippines grow. And then at the same time, parang, because a lot of us are well-traveled, right, around the world. And we can see na yung Philippines is one of the countries that is still a little bit behind when it comes to innovation in the airline industry. So that's what we wanted to do also as one of our main goals. So yun yung parang naging brainstorming purpose namin as we were applying. And then no March of 2020, we were in the middle of our application, nagka-lockdown. So that was a complete standstill kasi even the government agencies who we were supposed to submit our applications to were all closed.
Yeah.
So wala talaga kaming magawa. What we did na lang instead was to focus on in improving our manuals. And in that manual kasi, all our processes, all our airline procedures are written there. How can we enhance passenger safety? How can we operate seamlessly? Lahat, it's there. So from March to around October, that's what we've been focusing on lang. Thinking, how can we make this business better? How can we make this business better for customers?
Okay, so at least.
So, finally, noong December, after a year and a half of applying for the AOC, sa wakas, nakapaglipad kami last December 24.
Congratulations.
And since then, we've been flying na. Like, every week, we've been flying around 2 times to 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your fleet? Like, what kinds of planes?
What kind of
I know it's
crafts?
chartered flights, diba? Pero,
Yeah.
and how many seaters do you have?
Ever since I told you, diba, we really wanted to cater to our resort that's in Busuanga. Kasi at that time, mga 2-3 years ago, kulang pa talaga yung mga airlines that are entering the Busuanga airport. So what we wanted was to serve that airport. And because the runway is super short in Busuanga, we decided to purchase 3 ATR 72-500s. That's the same aircraft as SebGo, AirAsia. No, sorry, not AirAsia. SebGo and AirSwift.
AirSwift, okay.
Yeah, so it's the exact same aircraft, except we configured the cabin in such a way na mas magiging maluwag yung seat distance mo.
Social distance.
Instead of a typical, let's say, 31 inches, we have 29 inches instead of a typical, let's say, 20 inches space lang from each other. And for example, if they have around 74 passengers or 75 passengers, we have 70 maximum. However, because of the pandemic, we cut it short to only 49. So we keep it at 70% lang. Yeah. So yun, we have 3 ATR 72-500s. Eventually, when the demand for tourism goes higher, we will definitely purchase more ATR 72, maybe 600s in the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
that's,
the reason why we purchased also 3 ATR 72-500s is because we plan on flying different destinations na also in the very near future. So the 3 aircraft isn't meant to only serve one destination.
okay.
And I understand kasi those planes are great for island travel, di ba? Especially for the medyo mas maliit na mga runways. For
Short runway.
So, exactly, you're correct.
Like in Busuanga.
Yeah, for mga shorter runways like Sangga, sa Siargao.
Katiklan.
Yeah, and Siargao kasi is one of the destinations that we will be flying to.
Exciting.
Nice.
Okay. So do you have 3 planes with a capacity right now of 50
Yes.
flying 3 times a week? Am I correct? Okay.
So talagang you're assured it can be weekend travel.
Oo. Oh, what are your
Hindi
schedules?
weekly.
Ano yung 3 times a week ninyo?
We don't have a schedule kasi we're not a commercial flight.
Okay.
We're basically a private chartered boutique airline, diba?
Okay.
However, the plotted schedule is every long weekend, every weekend, and every holidays. So, a month, that's at least 4 weekends we're flying. Pero if may mga long weekends pa yan, so for example, Holy Week, merong Independence Day, the Chinese New Year, we have travel dates also for that.
Okay.
Maganda, you can plan also, diba? So you have time to plan.
And tapos we have like yung travel bubble namin. So kanina you're talking about the bubble life. So we created also a travel bubble. And we have for 4 days, 3 nights. We have for 3 days, 2 nights, depending on the requirement of the customer. Kasi syempre yung iba baka hindi makaalis from work.
Oo nga.
Or they have kids na baka may online schooling. So we have the 3 days, 2 nights for people like that also.
So when you say bubble travel, so does it mean medyo may hosting then, like if they're going to, may island hopping involved or you just stay in the resort?
No naman, island hopping, you can pre-arrange that with us. Pero there are certain inclusions na. So for example, kunyari, nung December 24 to 27, we had the travel bubble, diba? That means that all of you went through the same requirements. You go to the same private lounge and you all go straight to the same island. And then, meron kayong mga same inclusion. So, for example, lahat kayo merong sunset dinner by the beach. So, that happens all at the same time. Tapos, lahat kayo merong inclusion na one-time spa treatment. Lahat kayo merong food and beverage voucher. So, we call our travel bubble a fly, stay, and time travel bubble. And then, if for those interested to go on island tours, we can pre-arrange it also internally. Hindi ka na kailangan maghanap ng sarili mong mga tours from outside providers. So, it makes your travel very seamless, as we always say. And it makes it very easy. Like, you don't have to, wala ka na talagang aalahanin. Literally.
My kind of vacation.
Sarap, diba? Actually, it works in travel bubble.
Kahit nga, like this travel bubble, kahit nga RT-PCR test, di ba merong ibang tao, like, I swear to God, I received an inquiry today, saying something like, how do we go about the RT-PCR test? Di ko alam kung paano to, whatever. And I was like, don't worry, we can help you because we have clinic partners wherein they can go to your house pa and do the test for you. So you really don't have to worry about anything. Like, you just have to wait in your house.
Convenience, no?
Yes.
You thought of everything.
Oo eh.
That's what we're offering. Wala ka na talagang iisipin. As in, you don't have to worry about anything because we're your travel partner nga. So meaning, every step of the way, we'll help you.
Well, not to belittle naman what happened to us with the pandemic, diba? But I guess this travel bubble sort of amped up the services of the travel industry.
Same way with the other industries affected by the pandemic. No?
And this is what I was saying, na parang this has always been the kind of travel that we deserve. Pero it's only now na because of the pandemic, tourism are pivoting to this kind of service. Pero didn't we ever think na all this time, this should have been the kind of travel that we were always going through na stress-free, hassle-free. Kaya ka nga magbabakasyon para to relieve you.
I agree 101%.
Diba? So, yeah, this and super interesting because like I told you, the conception of this business was way back in March 2019. So this is 1 year prior to
The pandemic.
to COVID, the ECQ, diba? And we've always had this business model in mind. So nagkataon lang na nagkaroon ng COVID and it became what people needed to travel. But it always has been our target business model from the very beginning.
Oh, good. That worked
Yeah.
out for them.
Can you give us more? Yeah. Can you give
Kaya
us more?
parang thankful din ako kay God kasi I think we had like a bit of a what do you call this? Parang we had a bit of an advantage kasi we were planning for a COVID travel without COVID pa.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
we get it. Oh.
Yeah.
You-
So yun.
Parang it made your business model
More relevant.
More
siguro.
relevant,
Even more
yeah.
relevant. What,
Yeah.
Ryna, I want to find out more about your services. Like, what other, like the moment they come in at the airport, in which airports are you available? Or where are you? Where are your fleet?
where are you parked?
Where are you parked? Kung pwede sabihin park, di ba? Parang hirap ano yan.
Oo, eh.
Where are you parked? The fleet. Where are they docked? Ganun ba? Docked ba is the word? I don't know.
Well, our
Give our people
our
details.
fleet is parked in our private hangar, which is inside NAIA also.
Ah,
Okay.
so within Metro Manila, they don't have to go outside pala. Like, I thought might be Clark or ano, di ba?
Then, you asked me which terminals I'm available in to take off from. Pero I have my private lounge in the NAIA
so yeah,
area also. Yeah, we have our own gate also. So, hindi ka na kailangan dumaan sa common area ng mga terminals.
Nice.
Our own private lounge, we have a comfortable seating area. And then, once it's time for takeoff, yung aeroplano na sa labas na yan ng private lounge. So you'll just take a few steps. Tapos you're there na. You can board and then they'll take you safely to Busuanga.
How long is the flight?
The published time is 1 hour and 20 minutes, but I've flown to Busuanga so many times na. And normally, mga 1 hour lang, you're there na eh.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
And
traffic.
for our services naman inside the aircraft, we have an in-flight entertainment system readily available for everybody. So, habang nag-aantay ka for that 1 hour, you can watch movies, you can read the news,
Okay.
you can read some magazines, there's music for you to listen to. Our cabin crews are trained to go the extra mile whenever they are serving customers. So, for example, if you want to ask about the LGU requirements of Busuanga, what you have to do when you land, they'll know everything. They'll know the answers to that. Kailangan mo ng guidance for when you land. Because, of course, now we're all strangers to traveling during COVID, diba? So, our people are here to guide you every step of the way. So that's the kind of service level that we're offering to our passengers. And just to say, we're not asking for like 30,000-20,000 for this kind of service because like I said, this has always been the travel service that Filipinos deserve.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yun.
Wow,
So, kung hindi
convenient.
20,000, magkano?
Well, it depends on the time, honestly. It depends on when you book it also. So, for example, if you're booking now for an August flight, then we offer that for as low as 3,500 pesos per week.
Okay. So, sa season, peak or non-peak?
Yeah, it depends on season, number one, and it depends also on how early you book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay. So, parang I can't wait to try this airline,
Yun na nga
Francine.
eh. Yeah,
Pero,
we should.
oo nga. Pero, Ryna, of course, we also want to know what it took for the company to get things off the ground, so to speak.
Yeah.
Pun intended. So,
Challenge.
can you share with us the journey. But before you do that, let's just take a short break. We'll be right back.
Hello, can you get the following? One pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slide, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget my hashtag 143SM. Call to the... Wait lang, okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver. Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa... Can't say ko salita. Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Kayo. Call to deliver.
Good morning, sir. How may I help you?
Bakit kailangan ko pang pumunta sa bangko?
Oo nga naman, sir. Ba't kailangan pang pumunta sa bangko?
Why not get a UB app so you can do all these without going to the bank? Bank the way you live. Union Bank.
And we're back, Francine
Yes.
and Dina Ventura. I'm with Francine Marquez, and we are here with the CEO of Sunlight Air, Miss Ryna Brito. Before we took a break, we were asking Ryna how Sunlight Air managed to get off the ground. Nga.
Yes.
Parang what did it take for the company to achieve this? I think it's very momentous.
Yes, of course.
Travel.
In everyone's mind right now.
Honestly, of course, the very obvious, it took a lot of financial investments. And the prolonged process due to the pandemic has really increased our investments by a lot. So, honestly, I feel like the company has really gone through a lot to get to this day. Aside from that, we were expecting to start operations last March 2020, but because of the pandemic, our launch plans were delayed. Of course, there were a lot of cost-cutting measures also that we had to implement into the company. So I think for around March to May, we were all not working. We were all just at home. And I think that brought a lot of me and also my colleagues anxiety because you weren't sure when you could start working again. Or for me, I wasn't sure when I will finally operate. I didn't know when or how the COVID-19 was going to progress in our country and what the government decisions or where the government decisions were going to go towards. So it brought the company a lot of uncertainty. However, around April, May, June, July, I think around August, the company finally decided to restart the business. So that meant training for a lot of our staffs, thinking of what COVID-19 protocols we were going to put in place, where we were going to operate from, what kind of business we were going to operate as. So from August to December, we took that time, we took advantage of that time wherein everything was on a standstill to plan for this kind of operation. So yun, I think overall the company has gone through a lot because of course as a startup, trying to operate airline trying to operate in the middle of a pandemic, that was very challenging. And of course, we weren't sure kung it was going to pick up at all, if people were even going to know about the name Sunlight Air, diba?
Yeah.
So that's how it's been for us. However, ever since the planning, ever since the training of our staffs, parang nagganahan kami ulit because we were starting to see that our business model or how we were going to operate was going to fit the emotions and the needs of travelers today. And ever since nung December 24 to 27, when we launched our first ever travel bubble, we've been getting a lot of good feedback from people that they really feel safe with this kind of setup. They really feel safe with our procedures and our protocols. So, yeah, I think lahat naman ng efforts namin to get to this day are starting to pay off. So, yeah.
So how much of training was done virtually and how much was done, on site? I guess during the pandemic, it was a balance between offline and online operations, no, for the company.
Yeah. Grabe the training because I think we had spent around one entire week training different subjects. Even our cleaners had to go through training as to how they should clean the aircraft. The cabin crews were trained as to how they should serve, for example, a bottle of water. It wasn't like before na, hi ma'am, would you like a bottle of water, diba? It was like, we had to train them what to do na when the passenger goes on board, they should offer to spray them with alcohol muna on the hands. So we took an entire week training different departments. So every department 1 week yan. So cabin crew 1 week, cleaner 1 week, ground operations 1 week ulit. So it took us months and months and months of training up to a point na, until today, we're still doing trainings. For example, from 12 to 15 of this month, we don't have a flight because our cabin crew and our pilots are going through trainings again. So the training that we did while we were in ECQ and MECQ are still not enough because COVID-19 is something new to all of us and COVID-19 service is very new to us, diba?
Yes,
So
for everybody.
we need constant reminder for everybody na this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to keep a distance from our passengers. We're supposed to offer alcohol whenever. We're supposed to spray the entire banyo with Lysol every time somebody uses it. Yeah, so it's really a whole process that we have to keep training and learning. And then parang it became a part of our procedure din na, for example, every flight, our crew needs to get tested. So that's something that we're also getting used to pa.
We have to incorporate all these new protocols in everything.
Yeah. I'm curious, what about the getup of the crew? Because that's something that people look up to also, usually by a designer, diba? They look nice. How do the Sunlight Air team look like?
Actually, the thought process of the cabin crew uniform was that I had two items I definitely wanted in that uniform. Number one was that it will look medyo Filipino. It doesn't have to be a terno mismo, pero like a modern Filipino terno. I wanted it to be medyo Filipino because I said what we're offering to people in our service is Filipino hospitality. So I want them to see na we're incorporating the Filipino-ness in the business.
Okay.
And then the second item was that I wanted, I don't know if you've seen our artworks anywhere, pero it's always that eagle with a fire. And that kasi represents the company's passion and determination to serve you in a different concept of service, as we call it.
Okay.
So that became the uniform of the cabin crew. However, dumating yung COVID, so medyo naging walang kwenta yung terno. It became now a PPE that they use, which looks like a trench coat and the color of a trench coat also. Pero kinuha na lang namin yung artwork that is in that terno, and we turned it to a belt.
Okay.
Nice, nice. Still, diba?
Adjust.
Pero, as we normally do business, I never do things traditionally. So you will not see Sunlight Air cabin crew wearing a normal PPE. Kaya mukha siyang trench coat because I just want my cabin crew to be very appealing then.
Different.
And I want them to feel confident when they're working. I want them to be able to serve our customers well and with Filipino hospitality, as I called it.
Good.
Yeah, nice. Diba? Did you design the uniform?
Sorry?
Did you design it yourself? I mean, the
I
uniform.
didn't design it myself. The print, it was created by Fian. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, pero she's this famous designer who does a lot of prints. So I think she does it digitally. She draws them by hand and then turns it into a fabric. Super galing. You guys should check her out.
Okay, we'll check her out. Thanks for that.
It's also good that you're collaborating with local artists as well, diba?
Yeah, we
We're a
support
community in terms of surviving and navigating the new normal.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Same thing with the resort then, because I'm actually running both the airline and the resort. So same thing with the resort. Our theme has always been collaborating with Filipino artisans.
Ooh, nice.
Because parang it helps sustain Filipino livelihood. Like for example, yung mga weaving. That's slowly na mauubos na kasi. So if we support them enough, then they'll have income to sustain that livelihood, diba? Syempre ayaw naman natin na one day mawala yung culture of the Philippines.
Yeah, Palawan's very rich in culture, heritage, tradition, diba?
Yeah. I mean, very rich in history also, especially Coron and Culion.
And I think indigenous practices are still very much around, though endangered.
Kailangan talaga protect.
Yeah.
Ryna, I want to find out, can you take us back to the time when December 24, what was it like? Did you have collaborations or tie-ups with government agencies or groups? How did it happen? How did the first flight take off? Yeah.
Well, definitely, it involved a lot of government support. Syempre, we wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for the support of CAAP, of CAB, of MIA, of course, of the DOT, of the DOTR also. That day, though, exactly that day, we didn't have any collaborations with any government agency, but we did invite a lot of the government agencies who were supporting us along the way. For example, Director General Attorney Arcilia of CAB was present during our inaugural flight and launch, and he even gave his congratulatory speech during the event. The launch overall, I think it was just full of spirit and full of hope. It came from Attorney Arcilia pa nga that the launch of Sunlight Air in the middle of a pandemic served as a light of hope for the entire tourism industry. That perhaps kung merong isang airline na naglo-launch in the middle of a pandemic, then definitely it should work out eventually for the entire industry, right?
Yes. Kayo yung guinea pig kayo pala.
Yeah, but I can also imagine, based on how you're describing it, wasn't just a business moment, but also an emotional moment.
It was very emotional, honestly, because it was full of such spirited people really hoping lang that the tourism industry will boom again.
Yes, I think that's everyone's hopes, no? So Ryna, that got me so curious about the people behind the company. So you were talking about support for Filipino and everything. Has that always been the philosophy behind the company, the resort? You opened the resort first before the airline, right? So can you tell us a little bit more about the people behind the company?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, the two main people behind this company would be me and my father.
Okay.
Yeah. My father actually is a first generation Filipino. However, he is, I think, very different compared to most Chinese men who fled China to come to the Philippines. I'd say that because he treats Filipinos very parang he puts importance into making sure that they have enough livelihood. So I think the whole resort idea came from that because when I was a lot younger, we actually visited Coron together. I was only maybe 14 years old that time, and then wala pang mga kotse or vans or private shuttles in Coron at that time. And we took the trike and we said lang sa driver na, Kuya, pakiikot po kami sa buong Coron. So we were just going around Coron and then we said, parang this place has a lot of potential. So we decided around 3 years later that we were going to open the resort, and there it became a goal of ours because of the beauty of the island to maintain, number one, eco-sustainability, and number two, parang as a way of giving back to the locals there, parang to help them sustain their livelihoods, like I said. So, for example, on the island, 70% of our employees come from either Coron or Culion. Because yun nga, it's like if you see the island kasi, it's so magical. As in, you'll see a lot of natural resources. The marine life is buhay na buhay talaga siya. The corals are not bleached. So we find that because of the beauty that the island has given us or has gifted to us, it's our way of giving back lang to the locals to help out na, for example, if they have a weaver, then maybe instead of buying from Rustans, parang bibili na lang kami dun sa weaver sa Culion, and that can serve as our hampers inside the resort.
Okay.
Something like that. Parang we want to help the locals there as much as we can.
Oh, from what we've gathered right now, it seems that the purpose came before the idea of a business.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, when we went to Coron, we were there as tourists lang. And honestly, there was nobody there except mga backpackers, the mga locals. And then parang we saw nga the opportunity in Coron. So, and that's when we decided to build the resort. And also kasi when I was a lot younger, like I said, I told my dad kasi na it's always been my dream to be in the tourism industry. I've always said to him that I wanted to manage a resort. So, I mean, I'm very privileged also that he gave me the chance and he trusted me to run these two businesses.
I know, grabe. I find it so wow. Because
And I guess it's because of the passion also. It's very palpable while you're
Yeah,
talking about
honestly, I don't know if it's the coffee, pero nag-take ako out of so much passion talaga. Like I'm very passionate with these two businesses. I think it comes from a lot of heart to want to show people a different kind of airline, a different kind of resort.
And to think you're doing this at age 25.
Right, yeah.
Wow, right?
Yes,
So-
very hopeful
Oo,
for our
diba?
business community. So, Ryna, you talked about your dream, you talked about your passion. We want to know more about you. What makes you tick as a leader, as a person, as an advocate? But before you answer that, we'd like to take a break first.
All right.
Click, click, that's it. Never thought self-service can be this slick. Modify plans in a snap, walang hirap, it's a wrap. Just tap the app. Now you can check, view, subscribe, renew. Help and support for you. Out with the Ring Ring apps or the in thing, you know what to do. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Self-service and easy to use, mas okay tayo dyan. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Instant response, no hold time pa, wala nang hintayan. Download Globe at home and Globe Download the Globe One and Globe at Home apps from Google Play Store and Apple App Store now. Download Globe at Home and Globe One app all in the Globe app na yan.
Bilang bagong mag-asawa, sabay kaming natututo sa buhay.
Sabay rin namin inaaral ng mga bayarin sa bahay.
Kahit kami, nagtaka sa biglang laki ng electricity bill namin. Huwag pong mangambang maputulan. Sinisigurado ng Meralco na walang disconnection hanggang September.
Estimated bills lang ang natanggap natin ng March, April, at para sa ilan, May. Dahil sa lockdown, isang tabi to para hindi na maguluhan.
Ang May o June ay actual meter reading na. Kung May, nagka-actual reading, ibabawas dito ang huling reading bago mag-ECQ. Yan lang po ang ating babayaran hanggang 3 buwang konsumo.
Kung estimated reading sa May at June nagka-actual reading, ibabawas din dito ang huling reading bago mag-ECQ. Yan lang po ang ating babayaran. Hanggang 4 na buwang konsumo, walang labis. Tandaan, kung ano lang na konsumo,
Yun lang ang babayaran.
ako po si Mateo G.
At ako naman po si Sarah G.
G?
G!
Hello, and we're back. I'm Francine Marquez, and I'm with Miss Dina Ventura, and our special guest today is the CEO of Sunlight Air, Miss Ryna Brito. And before we took a break, we're asking her about what her journey was like because we want to know more about herself as a person. How did you start in the business? Were you always in the aviation and tourism industry? Ryna?
Well, how do I start this? I guess, you know what, every time people ask me this, I don't really have a starting point as to where me running a business started from because no, if I may say this on live, no BS, but it's always been my dream talaga growing up to manage businesses and to be a leader of a business. I think now that I am running my own businesses, I think that it's always been my dream to manage businesses because I think I've always had the leadership skills in me. Of course, I might be wrong. You should ask my employees kung tama ako. But it's always been my dream talaga to manage businesses. And it's always been my dream also to manage businesses in the tourism industry. In fact, when I was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I actually said that I wanted to become a pilot. At that time, hindi pa uso yung laser, yung eye laser. So yung LASIK, that's what they call it.
Yeah, LASIK.
So I couldn't learn how to fly. At that time, I didn't expect naman that I would be eventually running an airline business. However, parang nangyari na lang siya because nga our resort needed something to bring in more passive or more guests.
Yes.
So yun, eventually everything aligned together and here I am. I'm running both the resort and the airline. And I think this really roots from my passion and my dream ever since before to manage these two businesses. But if you were to ask me where I came from, actually I graduated from marketing and entrepreneur courses. And then I was working in Australia under a marketing team for a year. And then, of course, a lot of interns and side jobs while I was in college. I wanted to experience kasi working also, not for our chairman, who is my father. I think because I wanted to learn the system also of having to work somebody who's not family. And then, so when I came back, I was just there. My dad was like, okay, observe muna the current businesses that we have. And then when I see that you're ready, then you can start running na the businesses in the tourism industry, which was the hotel na at that time. And then eventually he was like, okay, I'm ready to invest in an airline business. Go and start it, go and run it. And so here I am now.
Grabe si Ryna.
Oh, yeah. But Ryna, what do you do to chill? Surely you can't just work all day, diba? You're with the beach. Are you an outdoors person?
Diba?
Actually, this is a hard question for me kasi hindi talaga, like, I don't really chill.
Oh!
Parang at most, when I'm in city or the island resort, siguro I'll take a day of not being on my laptop straight. However, the job kasi really entails you to be present all the time. So for example, nung December 27, that was my birthday.
Oy.
And yeah, a few
Belated.
And I thought na, okay, today I'm not gonna work, mag-chill ako. But there was like a mini problem dun sa airline. So, wala, hindi ako nakapag-chill.
But what does it entail? Like you just hang out at the beach or...
When you do have the time.
Yeah, I'll probably just sit. I super enjoy watching the sunset. So, that's what I do if I need to relax na talaga. Like if I know sobrang bigat na ng shoulders ko because of all the problems I'm trying to solve here and there.
Wow, that's good. Just gazing at the sun.
Yeah, and not doing anything.
Yeah, sometimes the best ideas come when you're trying to empty your mind. Diba?
Exactly.
Actually, this is a little TMI, pero my secret is the best ideas come out when I'm in the shower.
Okay. Oh, kasi diba? You're doing something else.
Self-care, relaxing.
That's my secret. Like before going to this live interview, I went to the shower and I was just thinking of the entire business. And it comes out very smoothly.
Oo nga, it's so obvious na, no? Naalata na.
We all have those,
natural.
tsaka I guess people have those moments.
Just clear your mind.
Yeah, we need to.
Lahat tayo, we have our own unique ways of relaxing, clearing our minds, and thinking of new ideas.
Pero something about you kasi, Ryna, is so... it gets me so curious kasi at your young age, I'm sorry to just keep on harping up on the age, but it's unusual because you were talking about running a resort and an airline and starting this airline from scratch, diba? Practically. So,
From scratch talaga.
Oo, see, diba? Hindi naman madali yung mga ginawa mo. So,
Pero I think ano nga it's very interesting nga talaga because of my age. And honestly, people get surprised all the time. People ask me that all the time. However, I think I use it as an advantage to me. That because I am young, I have so much to prove to everybody that I deserve to be running the entire airline and resort business.
was that ever a problem? Like, did you encounter any business dealing that where people didn't take you seriously because of your age?
No naman. Honestly, that's something that runs through my head before a meeting or before a big meeting. Na baka they won't take me seriously because I'm young, ganon. Pero I think in the middle of a meeting, then they realize na, okay, she's serious. Like, she's not playing around, or it's like her age isn't really a concern
factor,
here.
Yeah.
So far, that's what I get from most of my encounters with other businessmen. And of course, it's always a nerve-wracking situation. Kasi syempre, the people you talk to are very successful already and have years and years and years of experience.
Veterans.
Diba? But then again, I think the age has given me an advantage or a push to keep doing better.
Okay.
And I think in the line of business, when you stop trying to do better, that's when you fail.
Tama.
Yeah. So, kasi that becomes complacency.
Oh.
So, parang magiging nakuya ka na, okay na yung business. Tapos, diba, Apple
Kampante
took
na.
over,
Yeah.
Samsung took over. So, I think that's how I see it. That my age gives me a push to always do better and to always think of new, innovative ways to make my business better also.
Oh, speaking of that, Francine, kasi you developed the business model, diba? And then you came up with your rules and protocols for running this airline. What did you learn from taking those plans from paper to actual? Yeah. So what did you learn along the way? Ano na ba gusto ng mga travelers ngayon sa new normal? And what did you personally learn from it as a CEO of an airline company?
Well, first, to answer your first question, which is the execution part, I realized that your planning and the execution, they never come out perfectly the first time. So before our first flights, actually, we had several simulation flights wherein we actually flew to Busuanga. So that was a lot of going back and forth with the team na, bakit ito ganyan? Bakit ito ganyan? Hindi ba napag-usapan na natin to that it's supposed to be this way, that this is what we want, that this is what we will do. So it takes a lot of back and forth and going through the whole execution again and making sure that it's perfect. So that's what I learned. Na even if you already have your processes in black and white, solid na siya, you still really have to keep training your people and practicing your processes for them to really put it to their hearts. So that's to answer your first question. And then second question is to answer your question about what do travelers look for na ba now? Honestly, even if I'm the CEO, kasi I always read through all the inquiries pa rin. So, yeah. So, minsan nga, pag kunyari I'm just having lunch and I'm on my phone, I don't mind answering some of the inquiries. And so, what I usually hear from people asking the airline is, number one, what are your protocols? Parang safe, magiging safe ba kami? Number two, they ask yung parang, what are the requirements? Can you help us with the requirements? Meron na ring mga customers who ask if they can book the entire airplane to the family lang. So marami din kaming mga inquiries that are family clans of, let's say, 20 people and 30 people, and they just want the plane privately to their family.
Yeah, bubble talaga.
May mga ganong customers na ngayon. And so yeah, we always say naman that these are arrangements that we can especially do for you. And then, so I think overall, what customers really want now is a safe journey to their travel destinations. Because like I said kanina, people or Filipinos are really itching to travel na.
Yes.
They really want to get out of the four corners of their houses and do something else and not have to worry about
Infection.
being close to other people all the time.
Right.
But they want to do that safely. So I think my theme for this year is not for Filipinos to not travel at all, but they really want to travel safely. So they want to have an option na ano bang kailangan na gawin ng airline or ng resort para we can travel without feeling anxious about COVID.
Diba?
Oh, that's so reassuring.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, Ryna, speaking of making this our traveling year for everybody, What can we look forward to for like February, Hearts Month, and
Chinese New
New Year, and then February and March we have the summer 22 start of summer. What can we look forward to in terms of your promos, campaigns?
Well, for Chinese New Year, Valentine's, for March, all the holidays and long weekends throughout the year, you will expect a travel date from Sunlight Air. Aside from that, we are finally expanding to Clark by the end of this month. So for people who might be living in Pampanga or somewhere in the north, then they can take the flights out of Clark na. And then by end of February, I am very excited to say that we will be flying also to Siargao. But these are some of the business plans that you can expect from Sunlight Air. Then from Sitir Daman, we will have events on the island for Chinese New Year, for Valentine's. In line with Valentine's, I'm actually receiving a lot of inquiries also from mga proposals. Wedding proposals.
Nice.
Yeah. So, ang daming gusto.
Galing.
So, that's some of the things that you might want to look out for from Sunlight Air and from Sitir.
Good.
Siyempre, of course, meron kayong mga surprises, no? Curated treats for travelers.
Always. I mean, like I said, well, ngayon di na siya surprise kasi marami na rin to travel with Sunlight Air. Pero for example, like yung sanitation kit namin, no one expected that or no one requested for it. Pero we give it for free for all our travelers.
That's very thoughtful.
And it's not yung basic lang na face mask, face shield. We also include there, for example, mga hand wipes or gloves or alcohol. We always think of new ways to make traveling exciting kahit there's COVID. So I think there's really a lot of things to look out for with Sunlight Air and Sunlight Ecotourism and Resort.
Okay. So, speaking of that, maybe you would like to give a message to our viewers and potential travelers before we end our show?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, Dina, Francine, thank you very much for having me today. Thanks, Pairfect and Daily Tribune for having me. It was so easy talking to the both of you. No fuss. Thank you so much. And to all the travelers naman out there or those who are wishing to travel but are still scared, I respect your reservations to traveling right now. But just be on the lookout of what we're offering. And I hope that one day I could invite you to Sitir or to Siargao eventually and make you realize that traveling isn't so scary after all. So yeah, hopefully one day we will all get to travel again, and hopefully one day we can get out of our houses and not be so fearful of the people around us. My tagline actually for Sunlight Ecotourism Island Resort has always been freedom begins. And that's what I hope for everybody, for all the travelers or those who are wishing to travel this year. That's what I hope for you.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Ryna.
Good enough, Francine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Freedom
sharing.
begins.
Freedom begins.
See you outside soon.
Let's fly out of the office.
I invite you to get out of your your bubble life.
Office bubble.
From one bubble to another.
Yeah. A bigger one with sunset, no? And live fish all over.
Oh my goodness.
And maybe sunset cruise with a cocktail on hand.
Oh my
I
God!
like
You got
that.
us at sunset cruise
At
with
cocktail.
cocktails. You got us at cocktails.
Okay, so on that note,
Yeah, we'll say cheers.
yeah, cheers.
See you
Thank
soon.
you and cheers.
Thank you very much for sharing your warmth with us here on Pairfect. This has been Dina Ventura.
And this has been Francine Marquez.
And this has been Pairfect.